Minutes. Thank you.
That's the new help.
You're seeing, it's just pattern makes on it. Milk one.
Right now, Mike. Okay. We're starting on time tonight, being 7 o'clock. I'm gonna open the Dunbarton Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, March 22nd. All three selectmen present. Town administrators present. Leo Martell's recording for the town. Okay. Old business, gentlemen, we have some minutes, 3 sets of minutes there. I hope you had a chance to review.
Yeah, motion to accept the regular meeting, minutes of the meeting as amended on March 15th.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Good job, Elaine.
Thank you.
Want me to make a motion for the non-public?
Please.
I'll make a motion to approve the 7:53 PM non-public meeting minutes on March 15th.
For a second, Bob?
Second.
Any further discussion on those minutes? I just wanna say they were amended because of grammatical change, but no substance change, it was a grammatical change. All in favor? Aye.
Make another motion to accept the non-public meeting minutes from 8:03 PM on March 15th.
So, you want a second? Bill?
Second.
Any further discussion on those minutes? No changes were made to this minute. All in favor? Well,
Since you don't get enough,
it's true.
you're gonna abstain.
That'd be trouble. Okay, we have an agenda tonight, we also have, our tradition is to open up with public comment. Public comment where members of the public can just, if they're not on the agenda, they can just bring up any subject they wanna share with the rest of the community. I'm gonna start with Linda over here.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to introduce our new deputy town clerk to you. It's Carrie Lavoy, our new deputy. You've met Mike, this is Selectman Dave Knoll, Selectman Bob Martell, and you've met Lee.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring her in for the official meeting.
Okay,
I talked to Gary,
I would, wait, that's gonna be on the agenda, so we're gonna wait 1 minute on that.
that is on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so hold that.
Okay.
Mike, you're on the agenda, so we're gonna defer. Jeff, it comes to you. Anything for the public? Clem?
No.
Okay, next row? Anything? Okay, sir?
I'll defer right now.
Okay, Leo? Shoot. Mr. Road Agent?
Wait and see how the meeting progresses.
Ken? Okay,
I just brought some flyers in for the board for our upcoming community events, the Stop the Bleed, the Drug Take Back, and then we did set a date for the bicycle rodeo.
Okay.
So I have 5 copies for you folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief? No. Brian?
Not at this point in time.
And, no, okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the board. And Linda, you now have the floor again.
Alrighty, where Carrie won't be able to cover until she's been with me for a minimum of a month and then trained by the state. I've talked to Gary McCubbin about retaining him as an assistant clerk as opposed to a deputy clerk. He won't be moving for a few months yet, and he has agreed to stay on with your approval to fill in a pinch, should we have a need. So, you folks are okay with that, I'd like to
I don't have a problem with that. Do you have enough money in the budget for that?
I do.
Okay.
It would only be in a pinch.
Yep.
So he would be working in lieu of Carrie anyway.
I'm
So
fine
it'd be
with
a
that.
trade-off. Thank you.
Bob, I don't have a
Okay.
problem.
Just,
It's
again,
coming out of the same.
yeah, I
budget,
just
so.
be cognizant of your budget, that's an important thing.
Thank you. And as far as other appointments go, there's a bunch in Alts that didn't want to be sworn in as Hogreave in front of their uncle. I don't get it. They've all been sworn in. All the new Hogreaves, they are ready to go, so.
Okay.
So let loose the hogs.
Okay.
They're on. And the other appointments, you were gonna discuss the cemetery trustee.
That's on the agenda later on
That is
tonight.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
So provided
Great, the
that's.
paperwork.
Yeah, that's the paperwork. Town Hall Restoration Committee, I was under the impression that the appointments were gonna take place tonight, but I guess you folks did them.
Yes, and so they need to just be
They
sworn.
need to be signed and they are dated, tonight as
Can we
opposed
make
to.
a
You can
change?
just do a, yeah, just do a
Keep
pen
it,
change.
keep it up on the board? Is it, okay,
Yeah.
make a single line change there.
And that's all I have for you.
Okay. Are those names exactly the same as we read off last week?
Okay, yeah,
You did, I went based on the list you gave me.
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, folks.
Okay. Will you be coming back for that portion of the meeting, or it was
Which
cemetery,
portion?
the cemetery trustee?
I can if you wanna
Okay, well-
send somebody down for
We
me.
can try it, yeah, but I think it might be routine, we'll just have a discussion
The
if this is.
prospective appointee is here and I'm, here to be sworn in when you're ready.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mike, you have the floor.
Okay, after last week's storm, I just wanted to know why
I'm gonna recuse myself for
Okay.
Kelsey Road issue today.
Okay,
Kelsey Road had not been plowed by the town.
ask the road agent to chime in here.
All that Kelsey Road was bought by.
Well, it hadn't been plowed exactly like, oh,
Previous,
no, exactly, like I went and I looked at, because the town had all day to plow. So when I got home at 4 o'clock, I took a ride. And I took a ride and I looked at similar roads. I looked at Rangeway Road. Rangeway Road had been plowed with the big truck. Snowbanks have been winged back to allow two-way traffic up and down the road. The turnaround had been plowed. And I took a ride up Guinea Road on the south end. The snowbanks have been winged back. Turnaround had been cleared. Took a ride up to the north end of Guinea Road, same thing, and I took a ride up Gow Road.
okay. Do you want to,
Well,
I'm gonna let the road agent respond.
well, I just had
Okay,
Kelsey Road, turnaround was still, the turnaround had not been plowed,
that's
and it had been left as a single lane road. It only allowed for,
one-way traffic.
one-way traffic.
So the road had been plowed.
Yeah,
Okay, well, you started off saying it hadn't been plowed, so I thought there was more to the story. And Dave plows the road, as you know. The turnaround, I told Dave not to plow in the past, because you had an issue about Dave not being on the property, and the ongoing thing. So what we've been doing for the last 2 years is Pete or myself, 99% of that is Pete, will go back after the storm, like those other roads, widen them out, and he pushes it across the turnaround.
okay, so why wasn't Kelsey Road treated like Kyle Road, Rangeway Road, and both ends of Guinea Road?
Because I can attest to the Guile Hill Road, I plow that, and I plowed it with a big truck, so that was widened out when it was done. Those other roads you refer to as small roads, at some point on, I believe Friday is when it got plowed, you could tell me better, because you're watching it more than I am. Pete went out, we went out pretty much most of the night, Wednesday night, into Thursday, at some point, it's like, that's enough. You know, overtime, drowsiness, and we do it afterwards, sometimes it's the next day. You know, hadn't got to that one yet.
Okay.
But then Friday,
Then
went
why
back
is
out,
it
went on.
Kelsey Road is always left out in the cold and everybody, I pay the same tax rate as everyone else in this town. I would like the same level of service. The turnaround, that's town right away. So, that should be plowed.
I believe.
And I've said that in public on numerous occasions, that that turnaround is town property.
I beg to disagree with you at this point. That turnaround is actually your property. The town signed an agreement with you that was only good for 1 year. It has expired technically, if you wanna get technical. But I was trying to avoid the issue of putting Dave in a position where you would come up here and have an issue with that. My advice from the selectmen, from the attorney, was we would just have the same services we were doing, no more, no less. So we were just plowing that road, we plow the turnaround, it might not be exactly when the last snowflake
Why is the road
falls.
left as a single lane road? Have you seen the pictures? Because my truck, you're not gonna get two small vehicles through there.
Yeah, I don't know, I wasn't over there, I don't know what it was when I
Well,
went
it's
over
like
there.
this every storm. I've been coming in here all this winter asking these questions. This is the first time you showed up to answer them.
Well, this is the first time I've heard this one, there was the post, there was some other issue, I can't remember what that one was. But I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Pete goes around, like I said, your road was not the only road he pushed back that day. I think at that point, he still had the, county road and, Kimball Pond Road. So he went around, he was doing them, Lean said that you would send an email. So I'll drive over and see what's going on. When I went over there, I knew Pete was out around doing
This is
something.
Friday morning.
The road was done, yeah, Friday morning, the road was done, the turnaround was plowed. Nobody called and said they had a problem, they couldn't turn around or anything. I mean, we've been doing that procedure for a couple of years. You know, and,
What? All right, so I guess that'll get solved this year. So next winter, I think
by next
Turnaround.
winter, we'll have a solution on the table.
yeah, I mean, I just,
And Kelsey Road will get plowed out for two-way traffic,
we're not gonna.
just like all the rest of the roads.
It's pretty impossible to have two-way traffic on that road, you know it. Cause you know it's only 12 feet wide in some spots.
Yeah, well, whose responsibility is that? It's been a town road for 197 years. So, let's not rush into it. Widen it up.
Mike,
Yeah, I
any
don't
last
know what to tell
comments?
you.
Any last comments?
Yeah, I'll wait until next year, Mike, and I'm sorry to have.
No, I think I'm not gonna dismiss your concerns, and I think that's why I asked the road agent at least to be here tonight, because I couldn't address them. And so I read your email, and I understood them, so I asked the road agent to be here tonight, so he could at least address them.
There's one thing to bear in mind too. When you have a day, it's 40 degrees, and then you get a large amount of snow, it's pretty tough to plow a gravel road without tearing it all up. So, just enough to get it open,
My
get it going.
my common sense
and go
thing,
back after.
this particular storm also hit at an inopportune time. Most plow guys have a job to do, and they were
Yeah.
working during the day, and then they come home, and then the storm hit in the evening, and thing is, they plow all night, and they gotta get some sleep and the rest. It's
Yeah,
a safety
we-
issue.
We have some contract.
I understand that, I spent 20 years in the Navy, I had a job that overtime was authorized. I understand working long hours. The thing that galled me, I came home, my road's left as a single lane road. I didn't go look, I wasn't comparing apples and oranges. The south end of Guinea Road's got, provides access to one house. That road's been widened out. It had been winged back. You could tell by the snowbanks, a truck with a wing had gone up and down that road. They'd plowed out the turnaround.
But I'm sitting here, and I don't think it was an intentional, attack or failure or neglect. I don't think it was intentional.
I'd like to make a comment on that road. That snowstorm happened during our town voting day, which was Tuesday. I left town voting at 4:30 to open that road up before people got home at 5 o'clock. So that road was plowed at 5 o'clock. When voting got done around 9:30, that road was plowed again and opened up. And the next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, that road was plowed. Now Pete comes down there, generally the day after the storm ends.
As it-
That was a 2-day storm, so Pete was there on Thursday.
Yep.
Widened the road, did the turnaround, and normally he comes at a later date, says he has sand on the truck only for our dirt roads, not sand and salt like is on the tar roads. That's why they come the day after.
And Mike,
Their roads get done with sand.
that evening, even up in the town offices area, those roads are horrendous. And,
I'm not talking about the evening.
okay, but that
This was
evening,
Wednesday afternoon. You're talking about Tuesday night?
Yeah.
I'm talking Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock. I came home, and that was the condition the road had been left in.
Well, actually,
And it didn't get widened, opened up, and
Actually-
plowed until Thursday.
actually, the storm hit Wednesday afternoon. We worked Wednesday night into Thursday, and you're right, Friday's the day of that, which
Wait a
is
minute.
the day of.
No,
Town
no,
meeting
one
was
day off.
Tuesday.
the town meeting was Tuesday, that's.
okay, I'm gonna rein this in. Bob, you have any comments before?
No,
That was a week
this thing too, and, you know, I guess, I'm the same opinion, Mike, it's probably gonna be resolved by next winter. You know, I don't know what to tell you because,
It seems the legal
Well,
system moves
yeah.
like snail space.
Winter's pretty much over now, Bob, so
yeah,
I just don't wanna,
you know,
I
you have
just
to
don't wanna
say
show
that
up
with
next year.
caution. You have to make that statement with caution, getting tired of getting the snowstorm.
well, yeah, although this fourth northeast of there
The
was,
storm we had today, in the last 2 days was great. I like those types of jobs.
today?
yeah, you did an excellent job today.
We're getting better.
Thank you, Mike, for coming in.
Okay,
We don't wanna make it known for the board that I'm coming back onto the field.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff, for commenting.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Hargreaves with a bypass because they've been sworn in. See, unless you want to comment on that?
Well, they are here, so I'd like to introduce you so they can head out on their way if we can.
Please come on up
Justin and Shelby.
and give them their mission.
Yep. These are our new Hargreaves, half of them anyway. This is Justin and Shelby, Spencer and
Aiken.
Kayla. Nice to meet you. Mike Krinsky. Hi, nice to meet you. Well, as you guys know, Hargreaves collect the loose cows and swine in town. And we've got a project for you this summer. The town pound's gonna need some cleaning up. And we're gonna need the new Hargreaves help for that, so here's a copy you can give to Spencer and Kayla as well.
When there's the activities announced, probably in the springtime, we expect you to be there and helping out, cleaning up the town pound.
Great.
I'll call you a home
It's probably weren't there at the town meeting, you automatically got nominated.
I'm
so.
sure I did.
You volunteered for the work you did. But just for planning purposes, should take a morning.
Yeah, great.
Justin, while you're here, I didn't know if you wanted to mention about the cemetery trustee as far as signing up for that. Did you wanna do that now?
That's gonna be next, so I'm gonna ask the chairman of the cemetery trustee, Don Larson, to come up.
Judy's here too.
Judy, and I wanna recognize Judy as a member of the cemetery trustees. Good evening, Judy. You can come up too. So I understand you all have an appointment recommendation tonight?
Yes, recommend that we appoint Justin Knoll as a cemetery trustee, 3-year term.
Okay, you all had a chance to work with him, talk with him a little bit?
I talked to him on the phone here a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, okay, great.
Yeah, and kind of gave him an overview of what's involved
Okay,
and that, and, we've got a lot of great things for him to do.
okay.
You do have a mower, right? Oh, yeah.
Okay, then,
Need a motion.
yeah, I need a motion. In fact, Bob, we could make.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that, we appoint Justin Knoll to the cemetery trustee.
I'll second that. Any discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. We'll sign this, and then if you'd be so kind to stop by Linda's office and be sworn in.
Okay, thank you.
So
Welcome
get
aboard.
sworn in one day.
Yeah,
Welcome aboard.
thank you. Thank you.
Can you go home? Thank you.
I'll be in touch. I need to add you to the cemetery trustee emails.
Okay. When the hell my email, it's just an email me too.
You can just take that paper with you and take it down to Linda's office and be sworn in.
Okay.
I'll make it, that's the icing on the cake to make it official.
Thanks for
Perfect.
coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have I'm gonna recognize Ken Swayze, the planning board chair, to talk about a proposal, a recommendation to make into the, select board. Ken, come on up, please.
I'm on my way. What, you're on the planning board too, what do you want me to do?
I would like to give you, the concise summary, what, what you're recommending, and then we can talk about the motion, read the motion. I might open up for some public comment, to be fair to the school board, and we'll go from there.
Well, at last night's planning board meeting by the unanimous vote by the planning board, we voted to allow the school board to start work via a limited permit. You want me to read the
We have copies,
motion?
we have copies in front of us.
Would you like me to read it, or is it, you guys have copies too, right?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay.
Which page is it here?
It's this one here. Yep.
And the functional purpose was to cooperate with the school board to get their project going, typically because nothing has been submitted. There's sometimes a period of time that's necessary for plan review and your other functions. We voted to give them an approval in part and have you advance that to the building department to put it in place.
Okay.
Some of that work, by the way, act in good faith, and you know this too, Mike, we've already directed Mike, the other Mike, to start some of this work to make sure things are going, even though there's no official status yet.
And if, I understand today, Mike shared with me, he was already talking with the fire marshal today.
Yeah, we are trying to get some advance on that, that's correct. We're working on that right now.
Right, okay. Gentlemen, if you take a moment to take a look at the motion.
And you can ask any questions you want, gentlemen.
How'd you get noticed on the planning board of this activity? Did Mike bring it into you or building it?
That's how it started. There was a set of plans dropped off, and we recognized that it was for the school. Some of us did not know the project was off to a quick start. Under certain RSAs, there would be a waiting time. This motion was not developed under that RSA. And the idea was for the planning board to try and be in control of the ability to direct a permit to get them going. Because a particular RSA, given a certain level of development that might be taking place under any project, would start to impose a 60-day waiting period. And that flew in the face of the intentions of the school board, or the building committee, as we were told.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready, gentlemen. When you're ready, let me know.
Congratulations. Thank you, I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
So it's a 60-day waiting period, Ken, but it can be, I see that.
And it held in abeyance or ended.
Right, it can be ended beyond, before the 60 days, correct?
Yes,
If everything
under
meets,
under this motion it can,
yeah,
under the state's provisions it cannot. So that's why we developed this. And it requires, obviously, the town is interested in protecting the level of construction integrity, you know, there's children there, et cetera, et cetera. We need time to review. We do have a relatively new building inspector, but he's picking up on this. Fortunately, we have not much work right now. It's springtime, though, you never know.
Yes, let's have Fred, let's
Okay.
hear from you.
Yes, Jeff, are you the spokesman for tonight?
Actually, many of us may be speaking
Okay.
tonight.
I'm not gonna go into the same details we did last night.
And we won't, we're actually bringing new information to the board.
Okay, I was hoping for a phone call today, so I chatted with you, but,
You know, it would have been nice to have received this motion earlier today like we requested. I got it at 6:42 tonight.
okay.
I just got it.
Okay,
And I was there last night, and I still, I didn't know what this motion was all about. We weren't
does
given a
that,
copy last night.
does it help now?
Yeah, but it would have been great to have that, because it would have helped us as we're talking to our attorneys today,
Okay.
to understand exactly what was in the motion that was approved last night, so we could have responded.
Well, let's proceed, can move on and let us just speak, please.
Sure. Jared Duncan, 35 Bunny Road, here in Dunbarton, member of the school board. I had a couple of questions to start off, but I think Mr. Knoll raised one that I'd like to follow up on. So, I'm not familiar with the planning board process, the selectment process, as well as all of you are. How does one go about approving something at a meeting like you did last night? No formal application. I just want to follow up on Mr. Knoll's question. How does that happen? Tell me a little bit about the process. I want to understand a little bit more.
The typical process in our town is people will come in for a building permit, and in that, part of that building process, if the building inspector deems it's gotta go through planning board approval, or zoning board approval, or even selectmen approval when it has to do with roads, it gets forwarded on to the various departments from that point on. I think Ken might have stopped in and saw the plan and said this has to come for a site plan review because of the scope or size of the nature of the job, and,
So the building inspector didn't come in with it, okay.
so that's kind of the steps that it goes through in a small town like this, and not all those steps are ironed out. We have a new building inspector, we have a planning and zoning coordinator position that's empty right now that would have taken a look at this project with the building inspector, and, that is vacant right now. So,
And a challenge was that a building permit can have up to 30 days to review,
60,
60.
oh, regular.
It was dropped off a week before, work was to start, so the thing is, it's an 80-page plan, it does take time.
Right, okay. And then what's the process for a motion being filed with the selectmen in terms of the counterparty filing any objection to or response prior to you guys taking a vote?
I don't understand the
So they
question.
filed a motion, they're asking you to take.
They're filing a they're giving us a recommendation.
Okay, and the counterparty, the Dunbarton School District, would they have an opportunity to respond before you took under this?
We could, but the thing is, you can do it tonight, but the thing is, I'm of the sense that this is of urgency, and you like to start breaking ground Monday.
Right.
And if you wanna take a few minutes to huddle and talk about it.
No, that's fine, I just wanted to know the process. No, I
No,
think.
because we could defer this for a week, and normally at this board, we don't make knee-jerk reactions. We allow time to pass, we allow time to discuss it, mull it over when it's not life safety, and make appropriate, smart decisions.
Okay.
But in this particular case, I'm sensitive to the needs of the town, I'm sensitive to the needs of the school building committee, because they wanna get this off the ground. And so, I wanna see this project move forward in a smart way, as the planning board did last night.
Okay, we may respond, that's up for further discussion, but let's go to the motion in total here. It cites 674.54, but it does not cite any language within that section that requires any type of application to be made for this type of project from another governmental body within the same town or governmental entity like the school district to the planning board. So I just wanna know what specific provision within the law are we looking at?
Do you want me to answer?
I'll let you try.
We're not looking at any specific provision of that law at this moment. First of all, no application was made by the school board.
Right.
Because you'd have to give us written notice, the town and/or, it says the planning board and/or the board of selectmen. So Jeff Trexler chose to come visit us, and that was nice, that was a good idea. And in the sense of urgency to try and get something, actually, we sat down with Jeff prior to the meeting, Mike and I did, had a good powwow. And the idea was to try to come up with something that would be acceptable to the board membership, most of which I know, some of which are here right now. There's some dissension amongst the board. Politics need to be over. This job needed to be bids. We mentioned that to Jeff. There is a RSA in place. That was not the basis of last night's motion or discussion, because there was no application in place.
Okay, well, then what was the basis? If the statute is not controlled, what was the basis?
The basis was to have have that building permit advance to the level of being accepted by the town for processing.
Okay, have you sought any legal advice on the application of 674.54?
Yes, we have.
And was that advice given to you in a way that said that the school district is exempt from following 674.
The school district is not exempt from following, it says it specifically that
No, it's clearly exempt. It's clearly exempt. It's only
That-
not exempt.
you're only exempt from zoning.
No, we're exempt if it's a non-substantial change in use.
All right,
That's right, we didn't.
I'm gonna stop
we
this
were
right
not-
here.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
Last night's discussion, you're bringing up 674, so did Jeff last night.
Correct. You said in your motion.
We did not make this motion under 674. What we did is we tried to draw in things that 674 covers. For instance, there's a 60-day waiting period. That is common to 674. It's also in the building statute, where there's 60 days for processing a non-residential building permit. So we felt that the town needed that advance. Now, if we were operating under 674-54, that 60-day period would be, to the school board, would be a period of no construction allowed. Because we're not operating under, this planning board has the jurisdiction they actually issue the building permit. So the planning board made it possible so that a building permit could be issued by the Board of Selectmen. I'm not speaking for them tonight, but I believe that's what they expect or want to do.
So, I gotta go back. So you're not operating under 674-54. What authority are you operating under to suggest that we have to file anything with the planning board? That's all I'm asking. What authority? The selectmen issue building permits? What authority do they issue building permits under? I'd like to know the law, so I can look it up and have a defensible argument. Mike, what's the selectmen's authority for issuing building permits?
Building permits are required. If I don't have the RSA in front of me, but building permits are required.
No, what's the town authority?
They issue building permits?
Yes. Is this a state rule, state law, or are you raising a town issue? Because if you're raising a state law, it's a completely different argument. I think we're gonna find that.
The school board, as anybody, is subject to the state building code and the proceedings for that. You need to get a building permit.
Correct. We don't dispute that. That's
And-
through the state.
That's correct.
So what authority does the Dunbarton Planning Board have?
No, the Dunbarton Planning Board has no authority. They're making a recommendation.
And we're making a
Thank you.
recommendation.
Thank you, that's all.
That was
that's what it
acknowledged
says.
last night.
It
Okay,
says it's a recommendation. We studied the thing, we are supposed to do that in general for various proposals. It's part of our charter and what we're supposed to do. This clearly says recommend and otherwise counsel. Otherwise counsel means that if there's some questions of what will get involved with them, and tell them what we mean, just like we're doing with you right now.
all right, so let me just step back for a minute and give you guys an update, because we did our own research today and yesterday when this came up. And, we looked through the law, we spoke with our attorney, and we could not find anything in the law that subjected us to the requirements that are suggested in this motion. We found 3 cases on point in New Hampshire, is all we could find. The statute has a plain language that says we only are subject to the planning board requirements if there's a substantial change in use, okay?
Right.
So take that into consideration. We then said, well, what does that mean? Well, if you just define it simply, it was a school, it is a school, it'll always be a school.
No.
Can I
Okay,
finish?
yes.
So we said, all right, maybe that's not enough, let's look at some statutes, let's look at some cases. We couldn't find any case on point with 674-54. We found some other cases out there that dealt with non-conforming uses in which courts in this state have weighed in. And what they said is, as long as you don't change your use, it's not a substantial change. And here, let me give you some examples. One case, auto salvage yard went to auto salvage yard turned into a design showroom for bath fitters. That was a substantial change in the court of the eyes, in the eyes of the court, okay? Another one, an arcade company intensified their use and built out their buildings further and added more arcades. Not a substantial change. I like to think that one's the most analogous to us. We're a school, we're building it out to make it a little bit bigger, and we're still a school. So that's the only law that applies here, in our opinion. We don't believe we have to go through any planning board hoops. We don't believe we have to come to the selectmen.
But
And we believe,
since when does the applicant make a determination whether the rules apply to you,
Mike, who's the applicant?
the school board,
We didn't apply for anything.
Who's applying for the permit?
the building permit?
Building
The
permit.
building permit, that's different, that's through the state.
Okay. in that case, you're forcing our hand, at least the select board's hands.
We're not forcing you to do anything.
Right, to basically hold the permit in abeyance until it's fully reviewed by maybe a third-party engineer and pay for it, to wait for the fire marshal to have his review, because that's life safety. We don't want the building to be erected and have it violate fire marshal regulations, which I just found out today, it's gonna take over 3 weeks. Don't want that to happen. I want the school to progress.
Can I chime in?
1 minute, 1 minute.
Okay.
1 minute. And the thing is, right now, and the thing is, we have legal counsel too. We have legal advisors. And the thing is, they're gonna do this. Once the legal advisors will say one thing, I have legal advisors on the other side who are saying it is a substantial
Hold on,
change.
but we didn't go there.
No, we didn't go there on purpose.
Yeah.
Because the issue was, if we did go there, I felt there was risk that motion would have been made, that it was substantial use, and it would have triggered a 60-day use.
674-54 by the statute.
So we're saying that there isn't substantial use and therefore.
No,
we're
we
not-
didn't say that,
we're
we
not-
said, but am I clear, we talked to you separately. And one of the things we suggested is not to raise the issue right away, but to try to get that permit. And we just, in our capacity, you did come to the planning board, ultimately, you came to us, and we offered you the forum. He was there, he's at the planning board, he's the selectman's rep. The purpose of that meeting wasn't to determine, you wanted to talk about the status of the job.
Yeah.
If that came, there's dissension on the board or something like that, this motion passed unanimously. Had the planning board or anybody felt that that was a process or a project that had to go fully to 674-54, it would have been based on your reading of the statute.
Right.
We did not address that. What we did in place was say, okay, we just said, we're backing out, we make a recommendation by this motion to the selectmen who run the building department, pay for it.
We're on the planning board.
He's on the planning board,
Correct.
that's right, he's part of it. And the idea was to get you guys a building permit without the snaggle tooth of 674-54. What more can you ask for on this?
Okay, now I'm gonna let Jeff speak.
All right, yeah.
So, first of all, your comment about the 60-day building permit, where's that written?
It's in the building, you looked it up yourself.
No, I didn't.
I'm not gonna look it
I got
up
home
now, but
last
it's
night and
there.
I've got the code right here and it's not in the building code.
It's not in the building code,
It's
it's
not
in
in
the
the state, it's
RSA.
not in the RSA 155A that governs the state building code. It's not there, there's nothing there. What it says, this is important because there was a lot of information given out last night that was erroneous and that we didn't have an opportunity to respond to, and that's why we're here tonight.
Okay, Jeff,
So
hold on.
I'm hoping you don't cut us off.
Regardless
Well,
Allow
the
us
thing
to
is,
speak.
I'm not gonna go into a full debate like we did last night,
Understood.
so please keep it concise.
Yep, yep. It says, action on application in the building code. Building official shall examine or cause to be examined applications for permits and amendments thereto within a reasonable time. Goes on to say the building official shall issue a permit therefore as soon as practical.
Okay,
So it's not a 60-day waiting
okay,
period.
but how many days practical do you,
Now-
as an engineer, would you say it's for a non-engineer to review those plans, what's the reasonable amount of time?
Let me
That's a
step in
good
again.
question. But
Jeff,
let me keep going because
okay.
I got a lot more points here. We met on Monday, the three of us. I got a call from Mike, there's an issue, let's come in and talk. We came in, we talked, I sat where Mike is, you sat there, Mike sat over here, and we had a conversation for about an hour. We talked about 674 a lot.
Mhm.
It was my position that 674 didn't apply because I didn't feel that the school district, that this was a substantial change in use.
Okay.
We disagreed.
Yep, we did.
I thought that we were coming to the board on Wednesday night in order to make our case. I came on Wednesday night, and sitting right there, I asked you as we were debating this, do we need to bring our attorney Wednesday night? And you said, no. The board doesn't like to have the attorneys there, and don't, just yourself would be preferred. Okay, fine, we didn't bring an attorney with us last night, on recommendation. Then, we come to the board, and after you introduce the issue, the first thing you do is you pull out an opinion from an attorney from the New Hampshire Municipal Association that says we're required to come to the planning board and the select board under this statute. We're required. Nothing about the question about
If
whether
it
it's
was a
substantial use or not.
If it was substantial.
So, and so that was it. The board's nodding their head, okay, we're required. That meant that the whole discussion about whether it's substantial change in use or not was off the table. Everybody's already made up their mind. Bingo. Then you pull out a motion, which you obviously spent a lot of time preparing in advance. Did you work with him on this?
Over the phone, I gave him some advice.
Okay. Why didn't you present this to me in advance so that we could look at it and come prepared to address this motion? Why did you
Because it's a-
ambush us with this?
I don't think that was an ambush at all.
Oh, yes, it was. We were supposed to be cooperative. Remember when we
Jeff,
sat here Monday?
I'm missing something.
Now, let me finish.
I
We
will.
were supposed to be cooperative.
But you're attacking the integrity of him, and you're attacking my
No, I'm
integrity.
I'm attacking the process that was used. So we wouldn't be here tonight if we had this in advance and could have prepared our argument, could have contacted our attorneys, and brought information to the planning board that may have counteracted your information last night and may have been a different result. If we'd gotten this earlier today, we might have had our attorney here tonight to counteract some of this information that's here. So what I'm saying is the process, we got driven over by the bus. I thought it was supposed to be cooperative. I thought we were all gonna work together. Instead, I feel like we got ambushed. We were not able to make a presentation at the planning board meeting last night because of that. Instead, there was a lot of legal information thrown around by non-lawyers. We weren't able to respond. A vote was taken even before we were allowed to present the information that we brought to the planning board to convince the board that we felt it was not a substantial use. The motion was made, the vote was taken, even before we were allowed to bring that information forward. That's my complaint, process. Is that how we work cooperatively? So that's why we're here tonight, and that's why you're gonna hear a lot more about what our attorneys have been telling us today. We've been really busy today. And what we think the board should do moving forward regarding this. Okay, you got one now?
I'm gonna let someone else speak. I'm gonna speak to a member of the planning board who was here last night, because we're getting one-sided here.
Yes. So speaking of the process, I believe the process was, they should have approached the board of selectmen and the planning board a minimum of 60 days in advance. The planning board,
And didn't Jeff apologize for that last night?
yes, it did, you know, that being the case, the planning board really is the one that got ambushed, because all of a sudden, here it is on our, late on the agenda. Oh, by the way, we're gonna start construction next week, we need a building permit. So it's really gonna get ambushed in the long run. If the school board did their due diligence and had presented it when they should have, we wouldn't be in this mess. Plain and simple.
Okay.
Mike, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
December 7th, Jeff presented you with a plan, 2017, gave you an update on the school project.
Sure.
Year before that, we had a public hearing.
I attended every public hearing
Okay,
as a
so-
citizen and as a member of the select board.
So one thing I'm taking issue with is there's a sense of notice and comment here, and we gave plenty of notice. We gave schematics, we gave design. Under the law, that's enough, okay? The selectmen have seen this for months and years, and the planning board is now coming. I've got a member of the selectmen who's also a member of the planning board. I've got a planning board member behind me, okay? Who's on whose side? Mike, how can you rule on this?
Right.
Can I say something now? I
Okay.
came in late in the process as planning board chairman. I don't know who came to me, but it had to do with the plans being delivered. If those plans in a normal building department were delivered, they would have the allowance and the requirement to process those plans and review them and take some time. Last night at the planning board, after discussing with Mr. Drexler, what we did is create a permit process that starts you right off, a permit in part. I don't know what else we could have done for you. We actually cut to the chase and did the job. You're out to left field someplace. We actually asked them to give you a permit.
You're putting us in a box. You're telling us we have 60 days to do all this work, and then, oh
I
wait,
did
we
not,
might deny
I did
it
not
then.
say that. That doesn't say that.
That's what 674-54 is.
It doesn't say that. We're not under 674. We said like that.
Then
What
what's
six-
the authority?
What's
You
the-
haven't cited a law.
We're not, the authority rests with the
It
building
does
department.
not.
Pure building
It rests
Yes, it
with the
does.
state. Building inspector. That's where it rests.
No, it's a,
No,
it's
no,
a,
you're
the
missing
building
that.
inspector
You're missing
here is
that.
on our town.
Yeah, we do the inspections.
But
This is under our
The
control.
law, where's the law? You guys are going under a state law. right?
We have a town ordinance for our building inspector, and each town, local town, has a building inspector within their town.
Right?
They can be more stringent than state laws, but not less stringent than state laws.
But we
So-
have to have regulations that cite that.
Yeah, you
Right,
can't.
and they have
State
regulations.
law trumps, is all I'm saying. State law controls, right? Dunbarton has nothing, I couldn't find anything on the website today. No ordinances that says a school district doing A, B, and C has to do this.
Okay.
Applicant has to do
Are
this.
you telling,
person
are you
just-
saying that the town of Dunbarton has no right to,
I'm telling you,
You do-
state law exempts us from this process, and you do not have the authority to trump state law.
we're not trumping state, what's the state law? Who gives you the building permit?
That's what we're talking about tonight, the
That's all
building
we're talking
permit.
about tonight. Who gives you the
So
building
the
permit?
building official does.
Right.
Of what?
Issued
Town?
under state law.
What?
That's issued under state law.
Yes, it is, we follow state law, we are liable to the state law.
And
We
state
have-
law says we don't have to apply.
For a building permit?
You sure
No,
do.
No, we don't have to apply for under 674-54.
We're not
No,
asking
we're
you
not-
to apply under
It's the only
674.
statute that's relevant.
What
We're
he's
not
trying to do
asking
is
you
hurry
to
along
apply
the
under
building
that.
permit.
All we're
Basic
asking
building
you
permit.
for, simply put, is to get a building permit, and you already applied.
Correct.
So what's the problem?
So let me,
It's now with you, it's in a planning board review.
let me read this
It's
motion.
out of the planning board review.
Let me read this motion, because the motion is a lot more than just,
Listen,
than
the
just.
thing is, I'm gonna reel this in, it's starting to go around in circles, we can take this out, we can take it offline, meet separately, but the thing is, the more you do this, the thing is, you're forcing what I said the other night. If we wanna bring the attorneys in,
We'll do it.
we'll do it.
That's what
If
we're
we wanna solve this in court, we can do that. That is not my desire at all. I think it's a,
Let's let him
My
read it.
recommendation
It's
is-
the motion.
My recommendation is,
Chief?
Hey, I got a few people in the back who wanna be recognized too. Please hold your comment for a minute. Go ahead, chief.
Is there something we can do to get this process moving forward, so they can start digging on Monday, and then we can worry about who's got authority to do what later on
That's
down
already
the
in
road?
place,
It's already in
chief.
place.
Already in
It's
place.
already in place. That's what the
Okay.
evening is
Ken.
supposed to be.
Ken, please.
Sorry.
Okay, one more.
Okay, my understanding that you came here to get a building permit tonight,
No,
No,
No.
hey,
do you need a building permit?
they already applied for it, correct.
Okay, they can give you the building permit. What is the problem? I mean,
They want to put it through
basically,
a 60-day review period with a planning
no,
board.
you did, they waived that.
That is not the case. You're reading it wrong. The 60 days applies to the building department review period, and they are entitled to that. We're saying that they have that time to look at that.
they're not entitled.
There's no citation to a law that says they have 60 days to do anything.
All it says is they are given that period of time, that they should get it done in that time. They could take longer. We're trying to make this so it works.
They're gonna give you the
Somehow,
permit
we're
tonight
missing, we're really
for
missing
tomorrow,
something
so
here.
you can build tomorrow.
Jeff,
Why fight it?
I'm good. Okay, one back, thank you.
My
Okay,
recommendation is really simple. It's really simple.
right.
We would ask that the building official give us a foundation permit.
That's what it says.
Shut up, please.
No,
I'm
a
sorry.
little more
That was
respect.
rude.
A little more respect,
That's
please.
not
That is inappropriate.
It's just a foundation permit, okay? It's a common permit that's issued, a partial permit.
Similar to what was recommended last night.
It's just a foundation permit, meaning you can put in your foundation, you can do your under slab work, your underground
Understood.
work
I
on
know,
it,
we understand that.
slab on grade. And then, let's meet on Monday, bring your attorney, we'll bring our attorney.
No, the thing is,
Let's meet on Monday, let's sort this out as to whether or not the school district needs to comply under 674-54. Let's figure that out, because if the school district doesn't, if it's not a substantial change in use, then our interaction is strictly with the building department and the plans we provided.
right,
And at what point will they be comfortable issuing a full building permit?
okay.
Can I-
And,
No.
and so there'll be time to do that. If they wanna
Okay.
send it out for review, fire marshal will be doing their thing as well. It gives us time, we can get started, it's just a foundation permit, but it clears out the whole 674 issue and about whether we're starting work illegally or not.
All right.
Because we're ready to
I'm of the
take that
opinion,
on.
but I'm of the opinion that this is gonna have to be settled in court. Because the thing is, I've had the municipal association chime in on this, their legal counsel.
Did they read their own internet flyer that says exactly the opposite of their
Well,
voice?
I don't know, I'm not gonna speak for them. You're out of order, sir. I have also the people from the Central Regional Planning, who are very familiar with this, commented last night, said that our solution that we were offering was probably the best way it could have been handled. They fully amplified the fact that it was their opinion that it was also a substantial change. And so I'm sitting here as as a person who's very much in favor of this project, wanting to see it move ahead, seeing Ken, who doesn't wanna get wrapped around whether it's substantial use or not, we've had people from our zoning board come in who works in Londonderry, says every municipal project goes before the planning board. You come in and you apologize, Jeff, by saying, you started the meeting off by saying mea culpa, saying I should have been here months ago.
Out of courtesy.
Right, but Ken, wait, I'm not done yet. So the thing is, if you wanna drag this out, bring in lawyers in, I think you're doing this town a disservice. Because I don't want, as I said yesterday, I'm not going down that path. And if you're gonna force the selectmen to go to court with you, and that's where it may end up with, because lawyers will always have opinions. And sometimes a judge is gonna have to adjudicate what the RSA states and what it doesn't state.
Right.
And the thing is, you have a risk of losing and having to stop construction. And the thing is, I'm not gonna be pushed into giving you a permit and then have meet with lawyers, because I think that's a wrong path for this town to follow, to have lawyers chime in on something which we all wanna get done. September 1st, I wanna see that school finished.
Thank you, I understand that.
Okay.
Exactly what you're saying. However, this motion, and you won't let me read it. but
No,
the
the thing is,
motion-
I ask, the thing is, if you can huddle together tonight, put some value added to that motion, we can amend it and change it. But the thing is,
No,
I'm,
that can't happen tonight because we've got this at 6:42.
all right, how much time do you need?
Monday.
When do you wanna start work?
When do we wanna start work? On Monday? No, they're starting Tuesday, actually.
All right. Let me just get some input from the other gentleman. I think we may have a way out here.
Mike, can I ask a procedural question?
Please.
So if the building inspector, recommends to you, the select board, to go ahead and issue the permit start, where does it sit then? So if they say,
Well, the building inspector came into me, he was worried as anything. He came in and said just about the fire marshal is gonna take time, and he goes, what happens if they gotta put the wrong material in, or they selected the wrong material in error, and it happens. The thing is, and Jeff, you already acknowledged that last night, I said, you acknowledged that if there's a problem with the fire marshal, it's a risk, and we'd have to go in and change it, period.
So
And you
there's-
already acknowledged that.
Right, so the fire marshal doesn't have any issues with the foundation.
No,
And I can sit down, because I do third-party reviews on building plans, I have the IDC 2009 checklist.
Right.
In fact, I just dropped a copy on his desk, I
Okay.
don't know if Mike had it or not, but it would assist him in doing these reviews. I can sit down with him tomorrow or Monday, whenever he's in, and we can go through the structural drawings, and I can show him where we can check off
Right.
that we've provided all the information that the code requires us to submit for a foundation permit, so we can get started.
Yeah.
And then we can work out, instead
right.
of being rushed and
all
crammed
right,
and
but I
jammed,
wanna,
we can sort
I
all
wanna
this out.
salute this gentleman, because he came in he came into the meeting last night. The thing is, all right, his order may have not been perfect, but the thing is, he read his board, and the board last night, and the things like, there's members of the board who were on the opposite side of the fence, and I had two right beside me who were kinda like angry that the 60-day process didn't occur. And they really felt like 674 should have applied.
So let's solve that problem.
But can I-
But I don't wanna do it in court.
It may go there, but let's solve that problem, because we've been talking to several attorneys.
And we have different opinions.
Right, and including other engineers who work with municipalities on this, surveyors and so forth. This is not a substantial change in use. So we're
Okay,
getting
Ken,
lots of opinions.
Ken, I'm looking for comment.
Last night, we did not address a substantial change in use. It was not the intention, we sat down with you and said how we were gonna try to mastermind this. It was not the intention to go in that direction right off. The emphasis was on that you guys were caught short trying to get this process going. As of last night, what we're saying is the planning board is backing out, we're out of this process. We've made a recommendation based on our ability to look at projects like this, which we do, to have them, to coerce them into giving you a building permit for more than a foundation. It's all those things there that would last, even last night, you were worried that wouldn't last you for whatever. That's just a permit in part to start, and at some point, we asked you just to come back, and it would be 3 weeks from now, just to update us, and at some point, they'll give you a full permit when the review process allows the building inspector to say, we're all set. We're telling him to get to work, the building inspector. And we talked to him, and he has some abilities that are natural to this town, for instance, on concrete work or footings and stuff like that. He's looking at overlook estates right now, for instance, lots of concrete foundations. That's a similar project, correct? He's capable of handling that work. Monday, we tried our best to give you a permit, in part, on more than just the footings.
And it includes, plan review,
He's got-
satisfactory review of submittals, documents, and plans as referred to in RSA 674-54 by the Dunbarton Planning Board, its agents or assigns, together with the Dunbarton Board of Selectmen and the town's building department.
What is that, can I answer that?
Yeah, why are we doing this? Why aren't we dealing with the
Okay,
building
no,
department?
no, that's a
are.
great question.
We are. All it's saying is that
Why is the planning board involved in the plan review process? That's not your domain.
because our
It's not your purview.
assign becomes the building department.
Because what?
Our assign becomes the building department. We say we're not gonna have
But it's
any more
not your
interest.
purview. Building.
I just said that. I just
So
said
why is
that.
it in here?
It just,
And why are we
It's a
coming back in
technical
30
jargon.
days? What are we gonna do in 30 days coming back to the planning board? What's the purpose of that?
well,
The
you
thing
can
is-
come to the select board. The idea was
What's the purpose of even coming
to
to the
get the
select board?
rest of the building
Why
permit.
are we dealing with the building official for
You
that? Isn't
are.
that his job?
You are.
Do you
From
folks,
this
do
point,
you folks
you-
overrule the building official?
Yeah, that's the question here.
Well, the
Because
building department works for the selectmen.
I understand they work for
So
you.
we don't overrule them. Typically, it's like any department head, we don't try and overrule the road agent
Yeah.
or the fire chief or the police chief. We let them do their jobs, but they all could come back to the select board. But I'm looking at this as more of a problem solver, and I know where you guys are coming from. If there's no need to go to an additional department, then why go to that additional department? And what I'm looking at and hearing here, as one of the selectmen on this board, is Ken is saying, per se, that his department is pulling out of this and has no need to review this plan. And so they pulled out, and they're actually asking the selectmen to give you a temporary permit to do much more than just the footings, which would get us well underway within the town, and maybe we can solve some of this 674 issue. Well, you have the permit in place and your work in place, not just for the foundation, but much more substantial. Looks like construction of most of the building, which would be hard to change at that point.
So, let's look at the motion,
So-
and I don't know what the.
So maybe there's a few words we could take out of this
Exactly.
motion and get this on the floor today without any arguing going back and forth. If we can
Because
look at
I'm
some of
not
the,
sure where you're going with
if we can get a correction in the nomenclature right now
Jeff,
on a couple
the other-
items.
The other thing is, as you noticed last night, the planning board, at every meeting, the building inspector is part of our group. Did you notice that last
Yeah,
night?
why is that?
Because the planning board sets up the structure for the building codes. For instance, we buy into them, we can make code adjustments, for instance, at the local level or the commercial level. We trigger that mechanism, and that goes to town meeting.
Only through ordinance, right?
Yes, and it goes to town meeting, but we're the start of that. So the planning board is involved in the building permit process because we structure the building permit process. And that gets approved by the town voters.
And is there, I'm gonna use
But-
this term,
but-
is there authority for the board to do that?
Yes!
Where?
It's in the RSA, so we're not gonna start pulling the book
Okay.
open now. But we call, if the
No,
building
this would be
department.
the perfect time.
Yeah, well,
to
if
show
the
us the
building.
law.
if
No,
the-
we're not going down that path
you're
now, right
correcting
now.
us now. Because we
You
gotta get
you guys are missing the point. The building inspector issues the permits, not the planning board,
Okay.
not the
No,
select
we
board,
never
another
said that.
another
No, we
entity.
never said that.
Selectmen
Never said
approves.
that.
No, what does the selectmen do? What do what do
They run the
selectmen do?
building department.
No, but what do they do when you get a building inspector comes and hands you a piece of paper that says, all set? What do you do?
What if he says it's not all set? That's.
That's
He
not an issue.
Then
he
doesn't
came
issue
to
a
me,
permit.
he came to me today, and it's not all set today.
But why? Why is it
The
not all
fire
set?
marshal did not review it yet. That was his major
Okay,
concern
okay,
today.
but
That's a
nothing-
3-week delay.
But nothing the selectmen or the planning board have authority to get involved in, correct?
The selectmen run the building
The
department.
selectmen, we can authorize a permit for the construction.
Really?
No, you can't.
Really? I
The
don't
building
think so.
inspector
No,
has
what-
the authority
No,
under
no.
state law, guys.
I'm talking about
You
what was
can't
proposed
go back
tonight.
and start looking at plans and reviews
They
without
can overrule
authority.
the building inspector.
Show me the law.
Okay, we're not doing that.
No, you
All right.
gotta show me the law.
Please, no,
You keep saying
I'm stopping this now. I have one more comment from the back, please.
Guys.
I'd like to remind the
I think we do need to
audience
do
here,
the
I
lawyer
think
thing.
Mr. Knoll actually touched upon it. The planning board made a recommendation through a motion to the board of selectmen. It's a recommendation. Now, it's up to the selectmen to either adopt the motion as a whole, or if they want to change it and make their own motion, they can put any worded verbiage or change the whole motion altogether and do whatever they so choose.
Thank you.
So, it's in your court to take and modify the recommendation, not modify it, disregard it, whatever the case may be.
All right, I'm gonna summarize this, that the planning board chair and myself and Jeff saw a potential problem coming up. That the planning board could have made a declaration that this is as I said, this falls within the purview of 674-54. And if it was voted upon that way, then it would have started a 60-day period. You would have had your lawyers come to our lawyers, and would have to be settled in court. And the end result was, we'd have fees, you'd have fees, the judge would have to intercede. It may be 2 months, maybe 30 days, we don't know when, but your project would have been delayed. That was what we wanted to avoid. That's what I wanted to avoid, that's what the chairman of the planning board wanted to avoid. Because he had members who really felt strongly, even after your presentation, that this was part under the purview of RSA. And the thing is, he crafted that, not to be doing this to the school board, absolutely not. He crafted to be helpful. And the thing is, and we're, in the sense that he wanted this construction to start.
This thing could backfire where somebody could ask us, town or anybody, to reconsider this and say there is a substantial project that comes under that 674. We're here tonight to don't let that happen. I don't understand what is going on here.
No, so the thing is, in summary, yeah, it was not meant to impede your progress. And the thing
Just
is,
do the opposite.
And that, it was, how do we move forward and not have to go back? And the thing is, and Jeff, all you kept saying last night, and you know, I respect you a lot, and the thing is, you just kept going back to 674-54.
Sure.
And if we went down that path, I am almost positive the board would have voted that it does apply, and we would have ended up in court. And I was fighting, no, Ken, wait, and I was fighting that. I really was fighting that.
He is actually really on your side.
And so, my recommendation that I made earlier is, can we please have a foundation permit?
All right.
You got it.
Hang on, please. And then, let's let our attorneys talk.
But
Let's let them talk on Monday, and see if there's a meeting of the minds there.
okay,
And if there is,
what would that prove?
well, if this is not a substantial change in use, then the school district is dealing with the building official, and that's it.
Yeah.
We're just dealing with the building official, whenever he's ready, off we go. We're not going back to the board, we're not coming to this board, we're not limited to roof, ceilings, walls, and analogous construction comparable to residential construction trades.
Okay.
If we wanna put in a mechanical unit in the
All
next 30 or 60 days, we can put the
All right.
mechanical, I mean, this
Thing is,
has the potential of
Let's,
tying our hands.
we don't wanna do that.
Thank you.
All right, let's come to an agreement tonight. I like his permitting process, what he recommended to be the limited permit. The language there was good. But we're not, I'm not gonna ask you to come back to the planning board, I'm gonna make that change. But the thing is, the plan is still subject to review, and during this time, when you're putting the foundations in, and anything that's stipulated in there, we can make it a completely building inspector issue. Nothing to do with the planning board. Although the planning board may give some advice, because we have some good engineers in town that can review that. He may wanna send something out to be reviewed, and the thing is, that's an incurred cost, but we may have to do that. I would rather have spending money, having an engineer look at that, rather than arguing a semantics point or a language point in RSA, because it's about safety, that's what we're talking about. He was concerned about fire, I'm concerned about fire too, and the thing is, I don't want you to make a mistake with fire marshal, without the fire marshal doing that stuff. But the thing is, we have enough window for you to proceed, we can work on the language. To bring lawyers in, I think it's a foolish thing to do for the, this benefit to the town, it's not gonna help the town at all.
Can you send us a revised motion over the weekend that we can review?
I would ask you to help write it.
Well,
Sure.
we're gonna,
The thing is, it's so simple. By the way, just to interject you, Jeff, you were the one who said you'd come back to the planning board and talk to us in a month, and that was fine, that was great.
Yep.
That was good, let's
That
go
was
with that.
until last night, until I felt that we got ambushed last night
All
by
right.
the planning board.
Actually, it
And-
worked just the opposite.
All right,
No,
We
I
didn't
don't
want to go.
Okay,
to
gentlemen,
the-
we're not going down that path. That's looking in the rearview mirror, I'm looking forward now. I wanna go forward here. Thing is, can you help craft something?
My recommendation is, I'll say it the third time.
No, I heard your
is that
recommendation.
Building official
But thing
give
is,
us, it only needs to be a foundation permit, while we resolve whether or not this is
But the
let our
thing-
attorneys talk to see if this is a
No, you-
substantial.
Again, you're going down, thing is, you're going down the path of the RSA. I'm beyond that.
I think we're gonna be there regardless.
Why?
Mike, it's all authority, you guys are interjecting in a place where the building inspector sits, and that's what we think is overstepping your bounds, so let's say.
As a
you-
selectman?
Listen, let's say you approve this motion tonight,
Right.
and then it turns out that the selectmen actually don't have authority to do any of the things in these paragraphs because the building inspector does under state law, where's the
The
motion
building
go?
inspector is our agent.
Your agent, right, with authority to issue building permits on your stamp of approval.
Right.
Right, you don't change anything, do you ever reject them?
Okay,
You know,
but the thing is, okay, Bob, one more. The last thing here is, the building agent requires us, more than 1 week to review that plans.
That's fine.
And so he goes, why should we give you a building permit since you're so late to the process? But I think it's
But we're
that
not
stops
late.
from us.
We're not, there was no time period. We
Okay.
did not fall under any application
No,
requirement.
but
He
I'm
has
talking
the right
purely
to
building.
review those plans.
Absolutely, he does, not the
Yes.
planning board and not the
Okay,
select.
No, but the planning board's not, we don't have to look at those
Exactly.
plans.
Gentlemen, Bob wants to make us.
I just wanna say, because you're giving me a lot of information, and I'm the kind of guy that has to see it in writing, not verbal, so I wouldn't be able to make a decision tonight. I'd like to be able to make a decision tonight. Jeff, you know, with the road, we worked out a solution.
Yeah.
I'd like to work out a solution with this, otherwise, I gotta do a lot of reading during the week. You may not get a decision next Thursday night. So, put something together that we can agree with, where we can do something and get it done so we can move it forward. Cause I don't wanna impede, you know, the work over at the school either.
So, go one more time,
No,
recommendation is.
I want it written. Can you do that?
Okay, but it would, in writing, it would say that the school district works with the building official to satisfy the building official that we have completed the requirements according to the state building code for a foundation permit. And the remaining permit will be issued once the building official is satisfied that that the documents that we've submitted are complete.
I think that's fine, Jeff.
So that's an amended version of, actually of this.
It's really simple. We worked through the process that every town works with. An applicant for a building permit
Okay.
works with the building official, and if he needs time, fine, that's okay, let's work on it. If there's a delay, let's talk about it and see what else we can do.
As you know, I'm in this business as you are. Plans get dropped off in different towns. Some towns do it in 24, some towns do it in 48. You know, the city of Manchester is substantially longer than that because they're overloaded with work. But, it does say just a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
I know that certain towns now aren't giving plans back approved at all, even for a foundation plan, unless they're getting roof truss plans submitted with it, which doesn't make any sense.
Which is nuts, yeah.
And the engineered beams, but that's what they're all starting to do. I don't mind a limited plan through our building department, and if you do read the RSA, the selectmen do have authority to give building permits. And in the absence or in lieu of that building inspector, we can do that.
Right.
When he's an
In the
agent
absence of.
working for us, he has that determination to make, but in lieu of him, we can do that when you read the RSA.
We've had it before where if there's a dispute at the
Okay.
But
building
let me
inspector's
finish
level.
here.
An appeal process.
Yeah,
So-
they can overrule
So
that.
that being said, I don't mind having a motion, that we can look at on Monday. My problem is, we meet every Thursday, you wanna start on Tuesday.
Right.
You know, we're looking for something to be signed off on Monday, so that the building inspector can give you that partial,
Just the foundation.
just the foundation.
I'm-
Digging and footings.
I am, but the thing is, I'm with Bob. Thing is, I don't wanna delay this 1 hour.
Right?
The thing is, I'm not gonna ask you, do it in writing tonight, we can look at that partial permit tonight. Brian, you have a comment?
I think it's more of a question, because if I understand the recommendation from the school board is for a foundation permit.
Correct.
What happens if there's a delay in review because of the fire marshal, building inspector, and it, say it goes 3, 4, 5 weeks, and the foundation's been sitting in the ground for, 3 weeks already, and nothing's happening.
The thing is,
It's gonna be costly.
it's a risk, it's a risk.
Exactly, so
We'll
why
come
would
back and
we
ask
wanna
for
go with
another partial permit.
a little bit more limited permit that was originally recommended, because that way work can continue and it'll be less apt to have a
Right.
Jeff,
delay in process of the building.
why don't you look at some of this wording on here?
Yeah.
We'll go through the rest of our meeting, if you guys wanna come back in 15 minutes or a half hour, and come back with a motion that we can look at maybe tonight to keep this moving on.
Sure.
And, look at some rewording, I think all parties are trying to help here, so.
And the thing is, I really sincerely believe that. And the thing is, that's why I don't want to go down the path of whether it's gonna serve no purpose of 674-54, whether it applies or not. Because by engaging the building department, we're engaged. This no longer applies at all.
Right, and if the building official issues us a building permit, we can start construction.
And that's the
what we're
ultimate,
looking
that's
for.
what the citizens wanna see, that's the ultimate goal. Go ahead, Jeff.
We'll work.
I was at that
Yeah,
meeting
Jeff.
last night on the planning board.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, that's pretty much what that motion says.
That's why we're gonna tweak it a little bit. And the thing is, just have a meeting of the minds, and we're
The
gonna,
building inspector was confident with being able to inspect all facets of the foundation and the framing.
Bob's gonna ask one more thing. Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff, Jeff Trexler. I know that you're looking at the foundation, but could you modify that so in the event that nothing gets ironed out, you might be able to include other portions of this?
That's what it already
No,
Like some of the verbiage, well, I understand, but right now they're looking for the foundation part, and if you can include some verbiage that might link another part in the event
Sure,
that we get,
you got it.
Can I just say one thing, please?
Yeah.
I know you received this late in the day. Whether it's my mistake or not, I received it and it was worded as the planning board motion, and I had direction to make copies for the selectmen. I sent it to you late, because I was not aware, there was no direction for me to send it to the school board, which makes sense, but I feel
Well,
like
when did
I'm
you
at
get it?
fault, and I'm hearing 2:32 with no direction to
You
send
were
it in.
2:30 to 6, don't worry too much about it.
Well, I'm feeling there's animosity here, and he's
No,
getting
Jeff,
mad
Jeff,
because he
Jeff,
only.
the first
Question
question,
last night, and George this
Yeah.
morning at 7
Yeah.
o'clock said, we'll get it to you this morning.
Yeah.
And then I didn't hear it.
and show us something that we're all on the same team here. The first words out of his mouth when he walked in tonight, did you send it out to everybody?
And that's where I logged in remotely, because they were in a meeting, to send it to you, and I felt bad.
Those are the first
But
words as he walked in.
It wasn't done intentionally,
I
and
understand.
if
Okay.
you.
Let's
get this
we'll work on something.
Okay, give us, Lean, could you give him a little, we'll hold it for a minute, could you give him a little spot to work? Maybe, not in the hallway, it's
Yeah,
not,
we'll go out in the hallway.
maybe the
Do you have
text.
something to type with,
Just write it on a piece of paper.
or? Okay.
That works.
It does, it's amazing. Okay, we're gonna continue, oh, come on, folks, you're emptying the chairs, we wanna continue this great meeting.
Yeah, I don't think that-
Watched the video. Headache last night.
We know what angle that was.
The thing that danger here is that planning board members wanted to reinstitute review of this, they could claim that it's a substantial thing, that with this over this, the more careful, if you understand what I'm getting at.
Why don't you mention that on your way out?
Yeah, I don't think they understand.
All right, I'm gonna continue.
and so the crowd.
All right,
The milfoil contract.
I can sign the milfoil contract.
Please, and we'll have
Okay.
to notarize it.
Is it just one thing, or is it, oh my God.
Just one signature, just those little initial things.
Okay. Gentlemen from the town meeting, are you aware that we do not put money into the trash, that's how we say, the
Milfoil
cup fund? We only recommend it and it's voted on the legislative body. As we-
Every year, Mike?
Every year,
Was that their intent?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that's the only way we can establish it, but they didn't want the funds to lapse into the general fund if it was raised and appropriated for a purpose.
And I expect
So
that,
when they lapse, they
Slow
can't
it
go in
down, Don't
automatic?
forget your funding.
No, I said when they lapse, they
Right.
can't go in automatic?
No, I tried to get it set up that way, but you can't, you have to vote it.
you have to vote it, and the thing is, so the selectmen don't buy paint, you know, what I was saying the other night. Lean, I'm gonna ask you if you'd be so kind to date this,
Yep.
okay? There's another document here. This is, in regard to a 2% pay raise. And Lean, you explained to me that this is just for the auditors?
Yep, that's a requirement that we, show the approved rate. That's the information that will be entered into the payroll system, and that will be periodically audited. So it's important that we have something in
And
writing.
you had one for both the employees and the elected officials?
Well, they're all attached. There's one for the accounting department, so she has an original, and then one will go into our binder
Okay.
for the
With-
auditor.
Yeah, and while we're on that subject, before you ramble on to something else, that's retroactive, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, this will
I
go
just
in
wanna make
today, and then
sure.
we'll do, you'll see. in
Because
that-
it's in the budget, so
Hey,
that,
Correct.
Bob, you can buy a cup of coffee with your pay raise.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
That's correct.
Coffee shops aren't even open.
It just takes us a little bit of time to do the math, to look at the hours, because we have to do generate a report of what was worked, and then calculate the difference.
Okay.
Because you're looking at maybe 24 cents for some, but you have to take it and multiply it by
Can
the
hold
hours
mine
worked.
on that pay
Yeah,
period.
my biggest concern is the employees.
Oh, yeah, they
you know,
do
so
get
that-
The whole
retro.
jury
Yep.
increase to next pay.
I could probably hold my breath and have it fall different. Okay, moving on. Mailbox, a few things in the mailbox I wanna point out. We have another announcement from the Ethics Committee, Tuesday, April 8th, for all existing newly appointed officials,
Is that right? Do you have the date right?
April 10th.
Yeah, thank you.
April 10th?
That's what I thought.
April 10th, okay, 7:30 at the town office, that's a PM meeting.
Lee, can you put a copy of that in my basket?
Yeah. You
Thanks.
can actually have that one.
You can have this.
I can?
Yep.
No, you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Dave, you need to sign that. We just, that was, we had another, this is just for FYI only, about some of the police activity in town. This is what happened last Friday. It's on the news if you, yeah, okay. And I also have something from the police department. Thank you, Chief, for bringing this, responding to the appropriate complaints. These were the complaints of an individual. Chief did a very thorough investigation, which investigation is here in the folder. I'm gonna leave it in the inbox for y'all to read. And he put also a copy of the final letter he sent to the, shall I say, the individual to explain the situation. Good job, I read it, Chief, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I do too.
It will be in the inbox, read it at your leisure.
Yep.
Okay, we had a nice gentleman come around, and he basically was soliciting today. I just put this out for information, but he wanted to look at transformers. He said he was gonna do a courtesy investigation and look at some of the transformers around town. And it's a company that mitigates, we have a faulty transformer, he can pick it up and repair it or remove it, whatever. And that's an FYI only. He actually volunteered to inspect some of the stuff in town, and in town, we just kept him away from the school for appropriate reasons. And Lean caught that. Also for your reading, Bob passed it to me, Dave, he's read it. This is the NRRA, Resource Recovery Association, remember they did a courtesy report? I'm gonna read it, take it home for night.
That's our report?
And that's our report, and it's some good reading in there, and one of the things they,
Lee, throw a copy in my
Yep.
basket.
if you need to make a copy of that. One of the things that was brought up, it's cost effective to maintain the truck as it is, and
Only
it's,
because we own it.
right,
So when you go through this report, you'll read, there's a lot of good things
Yep.
that they found, cleanliness, whole bunch of stuff with the facility. There's a few things that they found could be done differently, be more cost effective. But for the most part, we had a pretty good grade.
Did Woody give us that, or did they?
Woody gave me this to read. I think he dropped one off at the office,
Okay. So he
but
has a
in
copy.
case he didn't, I brought mine in so that it
we can
be
get some copies
available
of that.
now, so everybody has the same
Quick
information.
question if I may.
Sure.
That's something that's gonna be available on the website, so the general public could read it?
I never thought of that. The thing is, it was more of an internal review.
But we are gonna have a public copy in the office
I mean,
here,
it's all
so
it's all public knowledge.
I think if you wanted to read it, we could certainly,
Yeah, It'd be easier that way,
Yeah, it might
instead
be
of
easy.
wasting paper.
Sure.
let's ask Lean, see if she
Yeah,
can.
because there was some, and the thing is, I think it's a great idea, because some voters were concerned about, especially the truck. And this kind of like reaffirms what our philosophy was in maintaining the truck. So that might be worthwhile, a good idea, good suggestion, thank you. All right, Chief, this is for you, I'm gonna pass off to you, do you play golf?
No.
Okay, but, there's a Crime Line, charity golf tournament.
I get some very similar mailings.
Okay.
So that was probably, Kurt's, copy for you.
Okay.
I'll do the same
Do you
thing.
play golf? Okay. We would not be attending because we're not golf players, not even close.
I won't be either for the same reason.
Okay. Gentlemen, we are part of Merrimack County, and there's a Merrimack County, by law, there's a county meeting, and there's some vacancies there. i.e. county treasurer and a few other things, and they're having a meeting. If you wanna read the budget and attend the meeting, you're welcome to do so.
County treasurer was
Les.
He's no longer there, it's a vacancy now. So Les must have stepped down.
Yeah,
Sounds that way.
mixed slightly, I would guess he should.
Yeah. No, last time I talked, I agree with you.
But usually,
Unfortunately.
I believe with elected positions, when they step down, they usually have the authority to appoint another one, similar to what we do in our term, when there's a vacancy for an elected official. Okay?
It looks like a couple copies here, huh?
Okay, no, that's all the budget stuff. So if you're interested in going, welcome to it.
I don't know if they're actually working on that motion down there or still arguing it out, but the tone has dropped considerably.
Is that good?
They're all getting along.
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't wanna, Bob accuses me of rambling, but the thing is, we all have one unified goal, get the school done and get it done safely.
I was, I shouldn't have done
It's another time,
that. So there's the exact motion that we came up with last night.
very close.
Recommendation.
Yep.
Just, it wasn't my idea. Now it's my idea.
Well, unfortunately, some of us only found out that they were looking for a permit tonight. Some of us got the same copy they got tonight.
Yeah.
And then there's all kinds of verbal referrals to different language and the state thing. And when you do that, I mean, you're gonna pique someone to wanna see it in writing, so.
There are still a
and I
few
wanna
towns-
move it along.
There are still a few towns that don't have a building inspector, and the selectmen issue the building permits.
As Dave alluded to.
Yeah, I mean, there are, I mean, they
If we have,
themselves.
if we have
go
an
to the
agent
select
assigned
board.
to us, it's their job, but if in lieu of or anything else,
Yeah.
it goes back to the
As I said earlier, the building inspector is our agent.
Yeah, I just,
And that's your authority.
Right.
Sounds like a power struggle.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, it's the whole issue, and I'm saying this on tape, but the whole issue is regulation, government use.
yeah,
You have the thing is, you have legal opinions on either side,
Right.
and some people say it's substantial and some people don't.
I don't think it's a good idea to get them involved. It's already costing us enough money, we don't need to spend way more money.
That was my,
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
At the end of the day,
I
they're
guess,
gonna get a
I guess
building
my
permit,
question is,
there's no
we
school.
school.
They're gonna be the same.
It's gonna happen.
Right.
Nothing's gonna change.
Same way, ego,
one moment, gentlemen.
Jeff, at the end of the day, they could have spent that money to bond the roads.
That's true, that's true.
Okay, what are we on to now?
I'm at a impasse of town business, I'm over up for public comment,
I just gave you mine.
thank you.
Yeah, I got a public comment.
Please.
At the town meeting, a gentleman, I believe it was Randy Bauer, got up and asked a question about the salary of what it was gonna cost us for the position that we approved.
Yes.
And I don't think he got the total number of what that is gonna cost us.
You're talking about the police department full-time?
Yeah,
I'm gonna let my colleague to my,
I got a rough idea, just from being involved with the town, but I'd like to hear it.
I'm gonna let my colleague
Friday,
answer that.
is gonna drop one off here.
Yeah, I
Is this one to be?
Yeah,
Don't think it's there either.
Already.
There's one thing missing from there, and the thing is,
Retirement.
yes.
Well, after the town meeting, we have since learned through our town administrator that when they were calculating their numbers, the warrant article this year, they didn't understand wasn't included in their budget next year. So next year's total is really increased by that 2018-23-545. So they'll either have to find that money in their budget to make that come up with a total and make it work, or they're gonna go over their budget for the following year.
I
Budget's not
believe,
crafted yet.
I believe the question was, and my question is, what is the total cost for that position in the future?
It's in your packet.
Payroll, retirement, and the stipend at this point
Very back sheet,
is a stipend, but that could change
in the
also.
back, behind that, Dave.
Can I answer the question?
Yes.
About $48,093.
Does it go with retirement or?
Yes, that includes it all. We
That includes
calculated
every
it all.
single
For
dime.
2019,
Yes, based on 2017 dollars, $48,093. That's the cost of adding the additional person. That's gonna be, that's the cost.
Minus the part-time salary, is
Because we're taking $20,000 out of the part-time line, that's why,
That's not what I'm asking.
Then I guess it would be $68,000.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
That's what that position, it's got nothing to do with what you're taking.
You are absolutely correct, and you're both correct, you're looking at different perspectives, so.
No, well, no, I'm not. The
66.
question was, what's the position cost?
The price is the
Position
price.
cost would cost $68.93.
That's-
Well,
The increase would be
It
$48.93.
depends on how you define cost.
right,
No, I mean, cost is cost.
okay.
Right, but I mean, it
Gentlemen?
also includes a negative in there.
Did we answer your question, sir?
68.
68,000
yeah.
based on a stipend pay for insurance.
Right. In fact, it's.
Which could change if this, would talk, the particular individual talking about,
Yeah.
said his wife, insurance.
Which
Something
would
happens to
increase
her,
by $16,000.
could which, not it might,
Right.
things could change.
But the thing is, the stipend is a good tool, because
Oh, I agree with
it
it.
saves town and it saves individuals money
Yeah,
too.
right.
I agree with it, but that's a moving target
Absolutely.
as well.
Well, we had that before, where we've had people that were taken, they were on insurance, they go to the stipend, people were on stipend, then also go on the insurance partway through.
It's a moving target, as you said, I agree.
In the 68,000 is no overtime,
No,
that's
just
just,
overtime is, there's a set amount for overtime, and whether it goes to him or it goes to another employee,
no,
it's still set, so.
but the base pay
Yeah.
with the, and I
Yeah,
believe
With
it's
retirement and, and.
30
all the benefits.
cents or 30 cents on every dollar earned.
Right. Okay,
$68.93.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, and they did have pamphlets out on that counter when people walked in the meeting, not everybody got them. But I think that, it was hard to explain where we're taking 20,000 out of there.
Yeah, the guy just asked the question, what's this gonna cost?
The increase was gonna be 48.93, so.
Okay, I'm going to go to Brian.
Question about the intent of the transfer station, trash, and all that stuff that came up at town meeting regarding that. Are you guys looking to do a committee or not, or are you gonna look into?
Thing
it
is,
more, or-
Bob has already alluded to the fact, Bob, may I speak to you?
You can if you want.
I'll let you speak, I'm gonna let Bob speak to that.
Well, as far as where we're going with that is, first of all, we got a number that he's gonna use for the temporary, when they're fixing the truck. So, probably reach out to that vendor to find out what a yearly cost was, just to get a ballpark number. I think if we go down that road, it might be a good idea to form a committee, but reading in the report, because we own the truck, we become more cost effective than the majority of the towns that are in the NRRA. But that's because we own the truck.
So you got many different options, I mean, you got single stream, you got, pickup, I mean, there's all kinds of different things going,
Well,
that you could look at, that's why I was wondering if you're
Right,
looking at all
well,
options or just certain
the
options.
single stream, the only reason it's failed is because Concord's out of the single
No,
stream.
no, I understand.
So, I mean, we don't have a facility that would handle single stream and cull it out themselves, you know?
Well, I know the state has that, has a contract for that with the provider, that one dumpster, everything just goes right in it. So it's available, it's out there, but I mean, I wasn't sure if you guys are just looking down a narrow road, or are you
No.
opening up and looking at every particular option and coming up with option A, B, C, and.
That was probably the base of the report, we wanted to have an independent, affiliated agency look at it.
Yep.
And Woody did, make that happen, and we're digesting that report now. And that's really step one, look at our operation first, and then we can look for efficiencies from there. And so, I think we're just starting to open the book on that page. But the thing is, we're always, I mean, the gentleman just walked in, would you say, Mr. Woody, we scrutinize you all the time for making efficiencies, correct? And the thing is, and I almost have, I empathize with him, because you know what his biggest problem is? Keeping a viable workforce.
Oh, just preaching to the choir.
And the thing is, and to this town, creates a career path for part-time, I mean, he's restricted from hiring only part-timers, and I'm saying, it's menial, dirty work, and we're paying pretty poor wages. Relatively to the whole area, we're competitive, but the thing is, it's not a great job to be working at.
Absolutely no, because I know when I sat on board, we made a huge increase on the part-timers' salaries.
So we've done things to improve safety down there for his employees. Last year, we worked on an incentive of $500 for $300 sign-on bonus, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I didn't get the fire.
We took that away.
But I
No,
think-
let me
Go ahead.
answer a little bit more. Brian, I think we did the same thing as you when we were looking at Woody's numbers to do the part-time hauling. It kind of woke up our eyes to the fact that, you know, maybe as selectmen, we should be looking at some options for that department. Not just for now, but in the future, just kind of keeping ourselves aware, just like when we look at the bills when we sign weekly. You know, does this make good sense for our town? Because like you said, there are options, and I think that in the short time, we're kind of looking at it narrowly, but over the next 2 or 3 years, we probably will broaden how we look at that. As that truck ages again, that definitely is gonna be probably a committee form, because when you look at the driver in that truck, the insurance on the truck itself, the maintenance of the truck, and then doing the sorting that we do, and the employees down there, there might be some options.
And one gentleman brought up in the meeting, the budget's going up. And one thing that wasn't brought up, and I didn't wanna push the meeting out further. The thing is, he pointed out something in his budget, which, cost of getting rid of trash is going up. And that's a critical service, no matter what you do, it's going up. And that was a wake-up call to us, because, a significant, over $10,000 of his budget was for cost increases for dumping our trash.
Absolutely. I mean, as I alluded to at the meeting, recycling costs us money. I mean, because if you start looking at all the wages, the time, the electricity, the building, the compacting, the machinery, all involved just to take and put recycling together and ship it out.
But the thing is, the amount
It's
of
the
money.
right thing to do, don't get me wrong.
Right, but we netted back, in defense of that, $51,000.
55.
Right, but how much did it
55,000.
cost to take and get that
I
50,000?
don't think it was,
That's what you
Yeah.
don't have the numbers, and that's
No.
one of the things you guys really should start really
Yeah.
drilling down into, because then again, it would open the opportunities, you know, like, is there other opportunities instead of, say, like single stream, just put a dumpster out there, everybody throw their recycles
oh,
in it.
and it's gonna be addressed,
That's what I'm
okay.
saying.
Yep, I'm with
But
you.
you do, that's a double win, because you get money back for some poundage that you take out of
Right,
the tipping, so that's actually, you save tipping money and
Twice.
you get some income. So it kind of molds together,
Oh,
and I'm not
absolutely.
saying you make money on it, that's not the case.
No,
But it offsets it.
It could come down to a feel-good type of thing where the town
Oh, definitely.
likes recycling more than dumping into one dumpster too.
absolutely.
And for our environment down the road, it does make sense to recycle stuff.
Absolutely, I'm not disagreeing.
Jeff, you got anything with that?
One more question, I wanna go back to the thing, my understanding is, yes, on the budgetary things,
Okay.
it's gonna show up like that on your budget, but and Lean can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is the retirement will show up, I'm gonna call it your budget,
Yep,
That is correct,
nothing personal.
yep.
So the operating budget will go up.
correct.
We're gonna see an increase of whatever
And it's
that.
gonna be a dual increase, it'll be an increase in his and an increase in the town budget.
Yeah, so when you run the numbers, it's gonna look the same with the 48, but actually, it's gonna show up on her side of the thing.
Yes, it's gonna show up in both places.
Exactly, so
For the
it,
full amount.
and I think that would be beneficial to tell people what the total number is
Yeah.
when they make decisions, not that it would've changed the decision.
No, but the thing is, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean.
I hear you. But the thing is, overall, I thought the presentation by the chief.
Oh, yeah, that
was
was fine,
good,
I'm
and
not
the thing is,
criticizing, I just, at the end, Randy Bauer asked the question.
Right.
And I don't think he got the answer he was looking for.
He
He didn't
was
ask
off-
again,
He was off $20,000 by not including the full cost.
but that's what he asked, what the
Yeah.
cost was.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think it's gonna change, would it change?
Oh, no, but the thing is, I think if anything, it was a lesson learned,
Yeah.
that as we go forth and look for other employees to add on to the town rolls.
I mean, just
that
to
we
give people an idea of what it really costs.
A
to
little
have
more
an
visible,
employee.
make it more visible for all. And I agree
I
with
think
that.
people just to kinda naive to some of that
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
a little bit. Not that they don't understand it, but
Well,
it's.
as any small business, when you hire someone, you hire them for a salary, but there are hidden costs that
So then-
the employee never sees.
Down the road, or next year, you guys are gonna have to be the ones that say, hey, you know, we're gonna have to throw in a year, or try to keep a level funded thing.
Well,
Things out of your control, basically were voted on by,
for the chief, I'm just gonna say, we need 3 more years out of that car.
yeah, he's
I'm working on it, please, I'm gonna take that right to the very end of my.
One more time.
Yeah, glad you,
Okay.
on the roll here. During the, warrant article, review at the town meeting, you guys had, 3 or 4, I think, warrant articles that said, unassigned surplus or fund balance,
Right.
slash surplus, surplus. If memory serves, I wanna say probably 5, 6 years ago, maybe more, the legislative body voted that we weren't gonna do that anymore, that every warrant article is gonna show a tax impact. It might have been, I don't know if it was an actual vote, or if it was the policy, or.
I don't think it was ever a policy established,
I know
Brian,
the
but,
selectmen did after the fact,
but in the case of the vehicle,
Mhm.
previous warrant articles were always worded that if the sale of equipment or
Right.
that type of thing
Well, no, I mean, in some
came
cases,
back, then that small amount would be allowed under the discretion of the board
oh, yeah,
as to whether they wanna just let it go into the general fund, or if they wanna,
no, I
Make an
understand, but I mean,
impact
I
in-
think, I just, my comment was that we probably ought to take it and research it, just to make sure we didn't violate something that was voted
oh
on.
no, I don't think we did, but.
I don't remember
Yeah.
100%, and that, it just,
I think
it
it was,
rings a bell, but I think we.
but wasn't it a presentation that way, that the board had said that we as a board decided that we were gonna apply any surplus to the operating budget and allow the voters to, the warrants to stand on their own? and let-
Correct, that's what we did, but I mean, I thought that that was the will of the legislative body too, because it
No.
was, it came up that like a previous year or 2 before that,
I never remember it, but the school did just do that this
I
year.
mean,
yeah.
you can't bind a board from making a decision a certain year to another year.
Well, they
Okay.
could, I mean, yeah, no, you can't hold one board to another, make a decision on that sort, but I mean, if the legislative body has a legal warrant saying that, you know, all warrants need to stand on their own,
Yeah,
if it passes muster legally, then it
yeah,
can
it
be
was,
done.
we've never had a warrant.
Yeah, but I'm trying, I don't remember, that's why I was just
Okay,
throwing it out there as it's, maybe somebody can do some research just to make sure we didn't violate anything.
I've got something for the road agent. Going this way on Robert Rogers Road, just after Putney Road on the left-hand side it would be. There's a big hole, it looks like a sinkhole by the edge of the road, right on the edge of your tire. And I think that,
start down the hill.
yeah, and going this way, it'd be on your left-hand side.
Yeah.
I noticed as I came up, and I think that you're gonna lose the tire there if we don't fill it in with some stone or something, but I think it's 1.5 feet deep. I don't know what,
It's very possible, you know, from the water and stuff.
looks like a big sinkhole there. I hadn't noticed it, but I just wanted to make you aware of it because I think you might lose your payment there if you don't fill it in.
We'll, check it out.
That's it.
You know, this, we're talking about
busy.
road things, I am kinda fortunate with the Guile Hill Road we were talking about. The gentleman that lives at the end of Guile Hill Road, when I go up there and we plow it, we don't plow the turnaround. We wait till the lightning storm, but when he plows his driveway, he plows the whole thing out for us. We have a lot of helpers in town that help us with things like that. So, I mean, I just wanna thank those people for doing that, I mean,
Okay,
it kinda makes it all.
Chief, do you have any, Chief,
Except for Kelsey.
Chief, coming to you, anything for comments? Woody's gonna defer to the issues.
Jeff, if you get them to take those posts out, I'll plow it all up too.
Okay. Now, you don't need me to help you make this decision, thank you.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, now I'm gonna go.
No, I'll stand by that too, Mike.
Good, have the door closed.
That's all right?
Yep,
Ken?
I'm sure you'll do the right thing,
Referencing,
making a decision on this permit. I'm sure you'll do the right thing.
I'm gonna try.
I went by last night and I could not believe the meeting was still going on at 10 o'clock, it was 9:30.
The thing is, we gotta make sure we do the right thing for the town, that's the bottom.
We were pretty punch drunk by the time we left.
Yeah, but the thing is, I thought the planning board really, went out of their way not to make a decision on the RSA, because if the decision was RSA, we'd be stuck for 60 days behind the plow.
I just wanna We didn't go by it.
I don't know any of the legal part of
You wanna
it.
just double check those for yours?
I don't think we need to go down that
I don't
path.
know if that.
Yeah, I did.
You got them all before? you?
Yeah, I started them all.
Okay.
I just kept hearing at the meeting last night that several people involved at different levels, John
I
Trotty,
know you weren't in
they
the
all
room
said
when
they knew they should have done it, and they apologized. Now, tonight, we didn't have to. I don't know what's right, what's wrong.
I think for the
What
future,
difference does it make?
I think for the future, I look at it as an opportunity to learn, because I was ignorant of the RSA completely. I did not understand the full words. The thing is, the last time a municipal building was built in this town was about 20 years ago. And I really feel that any municipal activity, it should go before the planning board, and the planning board can say, hey, this is not a substantial change in use, and they can say, have a nice day, work with the building department. But that's gotta be done in a timely manner.
Well, I guess that was one of the questions I was gonna ask tonight, if it got more involved than it did, is who decides what substantial change or modification? Sure as hell can't be the applicant, because obviously they're gonna say every time.
That was
it
my,
isn't.
that was my exact philosophy on that, because it's,
There was no guideline.
no, and that's where I said, last night, I said the RSA is vague,
Mhm.
and is subject to interpretation.
Well, I mean, it says planning board and board of selectmen, so I would interpret that as that those are the two boards that make that determination whether it's substantial.
That would be one interpretation, I agree. But I think it's the applicant, I think alone does not make that determination.
It didn't have like a percentage, square footage percentage.
Oh, it's so,
of
and it's so,
increase.
and it's so great, and the thing
It
is,
didn't a dollar value or anything.
but going down that path now, at this 11th hour, I think would have been an error,
Oh, yeah.
a tactical error.
But I was hearing two different things, maybe I misunderstood it. At one point, we were talking a change of use, and then we're talking major impact, so we were talking about two different things, I think, tonight, weren't we?
Yeah, they are six bucks with both,
Yeah.
But the thing is,
But we chose
a
that.
change in use, again, you can talk about it, it's a square footage increase, it's a change in the fire road, change in the playground.
The boiler, the fuel source, the whole thing, it's all.
And I'm being accused of railing here.
Well, just killing time.
I know.
Yeah, real quick, just to let you know, something that, when we did the fire department change, renovation, I guess would be the best word for it.
Okay,
We're, even as a town, required, and I think Bob probably remembers this, that they need to do an asbestos
abatement or.
inspection, and then abatement for any renovations and such like that. I don't know if they pulled the trigger, that's also through the building inspector in the fire department.
They did do it.
They said that.
They had some tile or something.
Getting back to the agenda, are we doing any non-publics tonight?
Yes, we have two, quick
Can I-
short ones.
Did you say you asked the
I
board,
asked them about if they would.
you would like this posted on the
Yes.
website, so I'll just scan it under the tab, okay?
I know you weren't in the room at the time, so you.
Oh, Lee, one thing.
You wanna
that
ask
does
them to come back in, Jeff?
Well, they got the door closed, I think they're working pretty hot and heavy or something.
They are?
Or they didn't wanna listen to us. You want me to ask them how they're coming along?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Oh, and one other thing, I was kinda surprised me at the town meeting when we did the Boston Post cane thing. I wasn't thinking, I mean, I know we always do the town, I would've brought the cane so we could've redone the whole thing and I would've said something, but I just spaced it out. Dave was all of a sudden started talking, I'm like, I'm looking at him, he's going like this, and I'm like, okay, I'll go up. He wouldn't give me the mic. He kept it for himself, so.
I didn't want you to get too winded, Mike told me keep it short.
Lean, what was, I think that'd be value added, because there were a lot of discussion on the trucks, and whether it'd be value added to keep it or not, and the report does address that.
It does?
And so, and that'd be, let the citizens share it,
Okay.
good information passed on.
And just for a point of information, if you wanna see what an RSA does address substantial modification, you might wanna go to RSA 146C. It has a definition of substantial in it, and that, as an example.
You're almost done, I said.
Okay.
Cool, I can deal with that.
Running out of film.
Want to pause? We're on a recess. We're gonna go on a recess for a moment until they return.
No,
Okay.
there's no film in it.
Why don't we do some, other town business with the select group?
Oh, how many action items for me?
I think, yeah, they'll be small. Let's go back to the selectmen, Mike.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna, let you start off, Dave.
There you go. Did we hear anything back about that door part being ordered for the library?
I have not, only that we got the email or the phone call
I
from
did see that
Mass
email
Road
that you sent.
saying that, the parts were back order, or they were not aware, there was a miscommunication with Mass Road Lumber in getting those parts in, so they were supposed to have
Okay.
been overnight. I did try to call him today, the cell phone number that I had was no longer in service, so I sent him an email, and I CC'd Mary on it, so she knows, I don't know if she has a different number than I do, so I'll communicate with her tomorrow and find out.
Okay, and one more action item I think we need as a board, we did a nomination of chair and we seconded, but we didn't do co-chair last week, so I think we should do that. Bob, would you like to be co-chair again this year?
I could do that if you want.
Okay, why don't I nominate Bob Martell as co-chair, I'm looking for a second on it, Mike.
I'll second it.
Okay,
And we're gonna delineate his duties.
I think we might have to with the town pound people.
One of the things I also want, the co-chair should keep the chair from rambling
That's
on.
right, a good squeeze of the leg or arm,
It's a little tough to do.
but no, I noticed in our minutes that we didn't do that, so I figured we should wrap that up.
Okay, did you wanna vote?
I'll call for all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You are the man.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. So town business is good. We did public comment.
Anybody else for town business?
Yeah, I don't have anything this week.
This week, okay. We are in abeyance wait for the,
Yeah, I turned in the NRRA thing, so.
Which numbers do we have this week?
hiring action. We have a hiring action for the zoning environment administrative assistant. And we have a good qualified candidate, and then that's, it has to go non-public to discuss it first. And then lastly, we have a few issues to discuss referencing transfer station.
Yeah,
That's right.
personnel, yeah.
Yeah, personnel, and then that'd be it.
Okay.
And so I wanna move it quickly. No, we're not doing too bad.
And if you wanna do it non-public, you can, just kick us out.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't wanna, you might, I'm gonna
you
give him 2
wanted-
more minutes.
Okay, I was gonna say you could do the hiring of, that
Okay.
shouldn't take us long.
All right,
Shut that down.
Ken can stay, oh, well, you're part of the committee, you can stay. Chief, Woody, would you be so kind to close the door? We'll do one non-public?
It's gonna take,
It's, you can keep it, just pause it.
Administrative, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, now that we're back in public meeting, I'd like to make a motion that we hire Donna White as a planning, building, and zoning administrative assistant that we had advertised on our website. Starting date, Lee?
she should be giving us a 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
I second that. Any discussion, gentlemen?
No, I've reviewed the application and I think we had a thorough process, so.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have her, right, give her a notice, and welcome her aboard.
You gotta go out on the cage, or?
Yeah.
Good to have that.
You go to it.
Somebody wanna go check on them again?
Send the police.
Oh, the guy that has a gun with him.
Got your guns? Hold the gun out, tell him to get over here.
The guy with the gun go do it.
You know, they're supposed to make one quick paragraph, right? They should send the attorney home so we can get it done.
You got it.
Chief, you have a great.
Just a couple more minutes.
Okay.
All right, you can read my writing.
We'll make a good attempt at it.
Can I read it first?
Yes, sure.
So the motion would be that the Board of Selectmen recommend that the building inspector, upon satisfactory review of plans and specifications, issue, I forgot that word, a limited permit for foundation and framing construction. A permit for the remainder of the project will be issued by the building inspector only when the building inspector is satisfied that the requirements of applicable codes and ordinances has been met. The school district will continue to work cooperatively with the town by providing requested information and assistance to advance the project.
I think that sounds fair enough.
Thank you. And I wanna thank thank your members of your board who are here helping tonight, and in the sense that, we like to move the project forward. and this might be a path. Gentlemen, I'm gonna bring back to the board, do you have any further comments on that?
The only comment I wanted to make is that, as part of that process, if the building inspector deems it has to go in front of planning, you know, that process will go down that path after that. I think the original motion might have avoided that, that's the only thing that, I
Yeah,
wanna
so-
make sure that
Right, so
you guys are aware of
I
that.
don't think there's a requirement to go in front of planning, because it's a local governmental
Right.
issue.
And the thing is, and we're
But
not
we're
really,
willing, I'm sorry, we're willing to go to the planning board if they want us to come and talk about progress and so forth. That's part of that last sentence about cooperating.
and the thing is, and you realize where I think the chairman of this planning board wanted to go, and where I'm recommending that we avoid the RSA.
Yep.
So we can avoid any 60-day period that would at all jeopardize your progress of your construction.
And that's one of the reasons why we specifically took out the 60-day period thing, so it's not alluded in any way.
It could be 90 days if there's a delay with the building department, so be it.
Yeah.
It's an open-ended or
Right.
closed-ended, it depends how you wanna look at it. He could do it in a short amount of time, but
Right.
it allows him an adequate review, and the thing is, and it moves your project forward.
Right, and certainly if another snag comes up down the road, we'll come back and talk with you folks and the building official.
I'm gonna take it
about
back, it moves our project forward.
Down the road, thank you.
Can I also make a statement? He's only here part-time, so
I
I
understand.
want you guys to be on, and he has other responsibilities, so I don't want you to feel like we're neglecting you in any way, because I step in whenever I can help to review plans, to get them recorded, do anything else that, and I will issue a mechanical permit
Right.
on his days off, but it's not that we're, you know,
So if I can just address that for a second. Since I've been involved here, I think there's been 8 or 9 construction projects where we've had come in with building permits. And in all the past projects, we've gotten a permit right away. The building official has looked at the drawings and has seen the stamp on every drawing that somebody was taking responsibility for the work. And so there hasn't been, in the past, a big concern about, you know, how do I know, how do I check to make sure everything that's in this big fat code book and all the other big fat code books is included in the plans? He's relying on the person who stamped, who, if something is wrong, they're liable, they're responsible.
Understood.
And most building departments work that way. Just
And
bring it.
I sat with him, and there are some areas, like he's comfortable around concrete.
Sure.
and
But the thing is,
septic.
he's not comfortable about electrician.
Yeah.
And so I've authorized him, and the thing is, and as a select board, we're gonna authorize him to bring in help, an electrical inspector who's more familiar with electrical code,
Yeah.
to basically make those appropriate inspections, because we don't wanna overlook something that would be life safety.
So I think the state electrical inspector will
Yes.
do that? Is that
Yes,
what you're
and they already did for
Great.
another project out in Kimball
Okay.
Pond.
Yeah.
But what, I just wanna speak on his behalf, he went through a course to become an inspector.
Right.
He's very, very green in this, and he asks a lot of questions.
And that's a good
I
thing.
answer whenever I can, if it's out of my realm, I pass him on to someone else who has that background, so he's
And-
trying really hard, he's doing a good
And
job.
even the chairman of the planning board, who's familiar with codes, he's a resource, and the thing is, he's gonna be involved from a public citizen point of view, and he's got a wealth of knowledge, and it's not to impede progress, and I'm gonna re-emphasize that, it's to make the project go forward in a safe manner.
And just, you know, realize he's green, but, you know, looking at that stamp should give him at least a level of comfort up
Oh,
here that we're in pretty
Agreed,
good shape.
agreed, but the thing is, it's a plan, but the thing is, and it's not, the plan is only a plan. Those people constructing it don't always adhere.
That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, a whole nother issue, and that's the
Once the
concern.
permit is issued, that's a whole nother,
Exactly.
right.
Okay,
concern.
and the thing is, we agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll read the motion.
yep,
I'll make a motion that the building inspector, upon satisfactory review of plans and specification, issue a limited permit for foundation and framing construction to the Dunbarton School District. For a permit for the remainder of the project will be issued by the building inspector only when the building inspector is satisfied that the requirements of the applicable code and ordinance have been met. The school district will continue to work cooperatively with the town by providing requested information and assistance to advance the project.
okay. I'll second that. discussion among the board first.
No, I think that this solves the problem, it moves it along,
Okay.
and we can look into some of the other issues during the week and discuss it. And I'd like to avoid using, money out of, hiring our town attorney to review this if we can avoid it. As Jeff has stated, these plans are stamped, they're reviewed, we're gonna have the state electrical inspector look at them. He's an engineer himself, we're gonna have more people looking at these plans than probably is gonna ever need to be, so I don't think we should overthink it.
And I'm gonna ask, offer Ken if you'll make a comment,
No,
because,
if nothing else to add,
okay, thank you, we just wanna make
we
sure that was.
intended to bring it to you tonight.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure it was, you were given off a comment. And I'm gonna open up to the entire public if there's any comments on this, before we continue with the motion and discussion. Okay, hearing none, it's back to Bob.
Just gonna say is, it's probably better to go down this path than to go with two differing attorneys. We already have enough of a case with two differing attorneys, and it could be drawn out, so this probably expedites this project a lot quicker than trying to get two minds to come to one mind.
Okay,
Motion's been made and seconded.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thing is, I need someone to come in and talk to the building inspector tomorrow.
Is he in tomorrow?
On Monday, I think you said you were gonna do it, right, Jeff?
Tomorrow, I'm taking the day off to go skiing, my first day off in a month.
I'm working Saturday and Sunday.
So Monday, I think, is when we were talking about coming in to meet with.
I guess so.
Okay,
We'll be here on Monday.
Yeah, for a couple of months, not a whole day,
I'll send him an email, just let me know when he's here.
well, I'll send him a text and
Okay.
tell him that he needs to be here on Monday, and we'll figure out what the hours are gonna be, and I'll let you know.
Okay, and I will bring in what's called a statement of special inspections. The
That will
structural
help.
work, it's in the code, and there's really no code required, special inspections required for this project. It doesn't reach the limit that it requires, but there's a lot of things in there that I'm gonna itemize that is important for our contractor to know that you need to do compaction testing on soils, you need to do concrete testing. I'm gonna be out there looking at truss insulation and bracing and shear walls and stuff like that. So contractor will have that, know when to contact me, but Mike will have that as well, knowing that I'm doing structurally all this stuff.
A lot of cooperatively to get the job inspected done.
So that'll relieve him from a lot of the structural inspections, even though he does his concrete job.
Would you stick around for 1 minute? We're gonna go to non-public, and I need to talk to you for 1 second, because let's make a motion to go to non-public.
Before we do that, I think we should thank the planning board and the chair of the planning board for at least attempting to come up with a temporary solution that they felt addressed the problem. Because, I mean, it does take 12 volunteers, it takes a lot of time. It just is, I know you put a lot of time in also, but at the very end is, I guess we're gonna go in the direction we need to go in now, but I just want to show our appreciation for the time.
I totally agree. Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, do you want me here now, or?
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go to non-public per RSA 91-A, colon 3, Roman numeral 2. I think we're going to
Paragraph C.
C,
Well, yeah, see,
right?
Yeah.
Correct to the first one.
I'll second that.
Martel says yes.
Kaminsky, yes.
Acknowledge yes at 9:04.
And, Leo, if you'd be so kind, we're going to non-public.
You won't have to start it again.